So Mark, you are one of the original gang, gang of five or gang of whatever number it was. So how fulfilling is it to have come right through the process?
Well, originally we were the gang of three because there was Ashley, Mick and myself, and the three of us were sort of challenged by the PST board to see if we could find a solution to the ownership of Portsmouth Football Club. And of course, as you know, history will show, it was a bit of a hard slog, and we had to engage with quite a number of people. And along that sort of journey, I think I certainly learnt an awful lot. And having sort of been involved in the the data room here at Fratton Park, it was interesting to read a lot of the contracts, a lot of the information that had sort of preceded us, and it actually helped me to understand perhaps where we'd gone wrong. So once we'd sort of made sure that the financial offer that we were going to make to PKF was sound and that they were going to accept it, then goodness, we really needed to put it onto a firm platform, and I think we've done that now. Interestingly, what's it done for me? It's sort of I suppose I was always a Pompey nut, and I love Pompey. I'm Portsmouth by contamination. I wasn't born and bred here, but I've been here since 1980, and within days of being here, I came to watch Portsmouth play, and I became quite friendly with Peter Mellor, who was our goalkeeper then. And Peter sort of got me behind the scenes of it. And so to come now and to be a director of Portsmouth is just... It's an honour, and I'm really pleased that we were able to make it happen.
You want to watch it? You're taking on my questions at the moment. Trapani, is that the right pronunciation? Tell us the pronunciation.
The correct pronunciation is Trapani. We're actually from Sicily originally, and most people call me Trapani, but I really don't care. As long as they're addressing me relatively politely, I don't mind whether it's Trapani, Trapani, or Trapani. Right. Yeah.
So what compels a football fan who comes along to watch the games, what compels him to, if you like, come over to the other side?
Oh, goodness. Well, atmosphere, number one. And I think, Pompey have, and I felt this in 1980 when I came to the first game. There was an atmosphere that I hadn't seen before, or witnessed, or been a party to, and it really is infectious. And from a businessman's point of view, and I'm a local businessman, I can actually see what Portsmouth Football Club does for the whole community. And if you look at, our business becomes more successful when Pompey are winning. And the feel-good factor around the city is just enormous. So, I'm probably not answering your question, Johnny, but what I'm telling you is that, from my perspective, a successful Portsmouth Football Club means a successful Portsmouth City. I think in life, I've always believed that you need to align yourself to successful organisations and successful people. And I've been really lucky in my life that I have been involved in some quite successful businesses, but also I've rubbed shoulders with lots of successful and people that have done remarkably well. Many have come from very humble beginnings and have done that, and an awful lot of these people actually come from the city. And therefore, in answer to your question, it's something that's good to be associated with, and it does a good thing for the city.
Once the euphoria of the High Court decision and all that had died down, you're met with some very tough decisions over some great ambassadors for the football club over years, namely some of the managers. How difficult was that?
I would say it was actually quite painful, Johnny. We inherited a team, we inherited the management team, and of course, Guy Whittingham was always one of my heroes. So the very thought of having to terminate his employment was just almost unthinkable. But we had to be really tunnel visioned about how we were going to move Portsmouth forward. The expectation from the fan base was just enormous. And of course, whilst Guy had reasonable success to start with, we saw that success disappearing, and we had to bring it to a close, and we had to move on from there. And I got to say, we haven't been hugely successful with our appointment of managers up until now, but really pleased that Paul's with us, and not just Paul, but also the guys that he's brought along with him. Liam and Ian are really great guys who certainly understand what makes Pompey tick, and that makes a bit of a difference. The other good thing is we actually brought some fresh blood, some new blood into the club. So in a funny sort of way, we've started all over again. The core of the football club, the core, and that's why when many people say to me, oh, don't you want to move from Fratton Park? To me, Fratton Park is our sort of cornerstone, and that for me is what gives us part of our personality. And I for one wouldn't be in favour of moving away from Fratton Park unless of course the opportunity was so great that we couldn't afford not to do it.
Just going back to those decisions, unlike other regimes in the boardroom, you're a local businessman. Down the road it snows. You didn't ask me to put that plug in. So there's no hiding place for you?
No, there isn't. Not only do I work in the city, but I also live in the city. I live in Southsea, and many people have come knocking on the door. When I'm out walking the dog, people come and see me and talk to me, and actually have abused me on many occasions. And one particular morning at 6 a.m, I'm at the Milton petrol station filling my car up heading to work, and a rather large guy came over to me and told me that we really ought to get rid of Richie Barker.
Did he really? I can't think of. You can't hide. No. And
Johnny, I wouldn't want to hide either, and I think that's one of the great things about having a community club is that we are here. At match day, all of us are accessible, and even on non-match days, we're all accessible. I think our email addresses, even our mobile phone numbers are available, and lots of people do pick up the phone and want to talk to us, and that's a good thing.
But sometimes inaccessible people on social media can make negative comments and derogatory comments, which even to the most strongest person at times must deflate you slightly.
Yeah, but you don't have to read them. You certainly don't have to respond to them. And I think I've accepted over many years is everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So let them express it. You usually find, especially on Twitter, those people that perhaps don't support those keyboard terrorists.
Club now in safe hands, in safer waters. So how do you shake people out their apathy and move the trust forward? Because plenty of people now are out there thinking, well, we're okay now, and that's that. So let's stop giving.
That is, of course, one of the dangers of success. And when we achieved what many people thought was impossible, there were an awful lot of fans out there that said, well done, Trust, you've actually done your job. And for a while, even I thought, well, that's it. The Trust have now completed their life's work. Where do we go from here? Of course, Johnny, if you think about the total number of people that bought shares in Portsmouth Football Club and compare that to the number of people that attend Fratton Park, we've only got a small proportion. Yes, it's a very important proportion, and thank goodness we have got that proportion, but it's still quite a small proportion of the total people that come and visit. And one of our missions has got to be to engage with those that haven't perhaps even join the Trust. And for a £5 for a year, it's the greatest value there is out there. And I would suggest to anyone, if they're not a member of the Trust, then join it for a £5. It's the cost of a pint and a bit. But what you will be doing is supporting the organisation that actually enabled Portsmouth Football Club to remain in the city. And more than that, it will help the trust to do better things within our community. I, for one, would love us as a trust to be more aligned to the academy, because I see the academy as being another of the cornerstones of Portsmouth Football Club. And if we've got a successful academy, then it becomes part of the banking system for the football club. Many people have asked me, well, how on earth are you going to fund Portsmouth Football Club when it gets to the Championship? Now, at the moment, that is quite a challenge, and one that's nice to think about. It's not at the forefront of our thinking because we're a long way away from it. So we've got at least 2 years before we get there. However, during that sort of 2-year period, we really have to think about how we're going to raise funds to enable us to put a competitive squad out into the Championship. But we've got to get there, Johnny. But it's certainly, many people have asked me, and asked me at the time when I became a director of the football club, what's your sort of ambitions for the club? And whilst it would be lovely to get back to the Premiership, the reality is, I think Championship is where Pompey sit. And should sit. And that's not saying that I don't want us to get to the Premiership, because I would love that to happen, because some of the most enjoyable times I had, and I was a partner of Portsmouth Football Club during those years, was actually when we were in the Premiership. But I'm also a realist. Portsmouth is quite a small place. Our ground will never take the numbers that will actually enable us through natural funding to support Premiership activity. I think we could just about get there with the Championship, but beyond that is quite a dream.
When you get the Championship, it's a new ball game, and what, for if's sake, if somebody comes in that people can't resist, and he's got all the money and can wash away everything and put that great big financial input in, then it becomes a hard choice.
Yeah, of course it does, Johnny, but I'm not sure Her Majesty the Queen will want to dig her hand into her coffers to come and buy Pompey. However, there aren't too many people that either myself, the rest of the board, or even the fans of Portsmouth Football Club that would in any way find acceptable. Look at where we've been, Johnny. Look at the people that supposedly came to this club with bucketfuls of millions of pounds. Where are they now? And, we saw the aftermath of some of those people that came in. So unless it was somebody, like Her Majesty the Queen, I can't think of too many people that we would collectively find acceptable to own Portsmouth Football Club. And there's actually no reason for that to happen either.
And part of the protection of that legacy, you're setting up a golden chair.
A golden share is one area that I think is being looked at by quite a number of people, because, yes, we do want to protect the future of the football club, and whether that's in a golden share or some other means, because, goodness gracious, the people that have invested the money in Portsmouth Football Club, they're not going to live forever. And therefore, if one of the larger investors should part from this world, then we could be dealing with a trust, we could be dealing with a family member who has perhaps a different view on Portsmouth Football Club to the person that's invested today. So we do need to look at that. We do need to find a solution, but one that suits everybody.
So for you, the trust has got to become stronger, but you've also got to look downwards to the young people that are going to come up and take it forward in future years.
Yeah, I hope that we will always be attractive enough to people to want to invest in Portsmouth Football Club. And goodness, we've got lots of investment projects that we're going to need to launch over the next few years. And of course, all of those projects will need funding in one way or another. And the best way is through the fan base.